I'm Heather from Booktubes, and today is a spur of the moment video. So I was on TikTok and I saw the Holly Booktok drama. If you are not familiar, I will have some clips inserted because of course her account is private now. It will be from other people's, stitches and videos.
I'm not going to be doing that. My reading's not a political statement. You don't get to guilt me into making it one. Do better. Their voice is enough. We're not even going to talk about the fact that she's talking about 70% or 75% of traditionally published people are white. Guess what the majority of the motherfuckers in the U.S. is? White. Your political ideology and all of those things do not have to bleed into everything. You're not going to convince me that I'm a bad person because when I'm doing something that I want to do to relax, I'm not intentionally going and seeking out who and what you think I should seek out. Because you don't get to tell me who and what I seek out for my relaxing time, for my downtime. You don't get to tell me that I need to stress myself out, making sure that I read enough books written by a black author, a gay author, a transgender author, or any other fucking person that you think doesn't get their voice.
The really interesting thing about this to me is that she's saying what a lot of you believe. A lot of booktubers actively believe this. They read like this. They talk like this, but they talk around it, right? They're not going to be so aggressive, so point blank, so saying it with their whole chest. They're not going to go out of their way to be like, don't make me read diversely. They just will be like, that's not really what I'm here for. This is my safe space, a refuge, if you will. I don't want to have to think about those things. I want to escape, and their escape includes an all-white society like they want to enjoy.
But here's the summary, right? This white booktoker went on a long racist rant about how you cannot make her read diversely. And I'm kind of here to tell you about it, but not really. What I wanted to make this video for is because it's something that I've been thinking about having in a video that I actually have scheduled for like April or May. Somewhere in there. It's that for me, with people that I follow or will be friends with, reading diversely is the bare minimum. And I have some very specific reasons on why that is. Number one, I think that reading diversely is some sort of sign that you care about people who are not white. Period. It's literally the bare minimum. It is certainly something that racists are capable of doing. It is certainly something that isn't like a big signifier or like a big hurdle or even like a milestone on your anti-racism journey. It's just the bare minimum. This is how I filter out any and everybody that comes across my feed. And I'm not kidding. I will go to people's videos and if you can go very far without getting a not white rec, I appreciate the fact that diversity is beyond race, right? And I think that that is an important thing to do on purpose in your reading. I really do. But my number one signifier is race, right? Do they have anybody that is BIPOC? Anybody that's not white? Anybody? And how many you have can depend on how many books you read in a year. I will not forget this last year at this point, I guess. This booktuber was brought to my attention as someone to invite to something. And I went to their channel. I had never heard of them before, and they had a tier ranking of all of the books that they had read so far in the year. And it was like 200 books. And I am going through this video and there was not a single identifiable BIPOC author on that list. There were no BIPOC characters on the covers. There were no names that I recognized as being BIPOC authors. Nothing. As far as I know, every single author and every single character on that 200 book list was white. And I was like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I've seen what I needed to see, and like that's all I needed to know. But I do that for everybody. If you can't read BIPOC authors, that's just a clear signifier that you're not for me. I'm not saying that you are automatically racist if you are only reading white authors, because I too was only reading white authors once upon a time. I definitely felt like what I read didn't signify who I was as a person or what type of person I was. I also felt like I would read BIPOC authors if I came across them. I wasn't like avoiding them, but I was just picking up books that I heard about. That was it, right? It wasn't something I was doing on purpose. Which brings me to point number 2. Diversifying has to happen on purpose, right? I've said this many times. I'm hardly the only person to say it, but it has to happen on purpose. Publishing is mostly white. It's majority white. Algorithms are a bit racist. You're going to have more white booktubers, and you're going to have those white booktubers often do better numbers-wise than you're going to have their BIPOC counterparts. Even if their reading and their delivery and all of that is very, very similar, your white booktuber is probably going to do better. Same thing with white authors. If you have a book with the same type of angst and the same type of romance and the same tropes, but one by a BIPOC author and one by a white author is going to do better. Particularly if you have BIPOC people on the cover, a lot of times you're just going to have racists that avoid that. That's the truth of the matter. Since racists will go out of their way to avoid having to be nice or deal with or having to read about anybody who isn't white, since they'll go out of their way to do that, you, if you want to not be supporting that problem, need to go out of your way to read them. Like, I really believe that. Go out of your way to make sure you're subscribed to a diverse group of people, whether that is because of race or because of ethnicity or because of disability or mental health or queerness or any of the things. Do it on purpose. Do it for yourself. Because you're missing out if you don't, but you have to do it on purpose. And then number 3, for me, again, it does take minimal effort to read diversely, right? It is hardest to start. I've said this before. I have an entire video about how I started reading diversely. It's hardest to start, right? You don't know what authors you like. It's as simple as that, for me anyways. For me, it's like, who are my go-to authors? Like, I need to have go-to authors because I read so much from authors I already know and love. So starting is the hardest part. You're trying a lot of new authors. Some of them are going to work, some of them aren't. You might be trying new ideas or new formats or themes or delivery that you are not familiar with. Starting can be the hardest part, I think, of reading diversely. But once you do have those authors, those go-tos, the sources, the people that you follow, once you have those things, it's really quite easy to maintain and to grow because it is such minimal effort, but it is done on purpose and it needs to be done from a place of actually caring about that. It's such a great filter for who cares enough, which again, this is not like all people who read diversely are unproblematic, anti-racist, anti-ableist, you know, they are the leaders of tomorrow. No. This is the bare minimum, the bare fucking minimum. The bar on the ground, sometimes buried under the ground, sometimes all the way down in hell, you know, but the bar is still there. If you can't clear the bar, I don't need you. I don't need your recommendations. I don't need your follow. I don't need you as a mutual. I just don't, because we are literally going in opposite directions. So what is the point? What is the freaking point? And the interesting thing about this Holly in particular is she runs straight into the point a few different times.
Moving forward, I'm convinced some of you motherfuckers cannot do anything, cannot enjoy anything, cannot breathe without thinking about race or, you know, the genders or anything else.
About how some people can't not think about race and can't not think about gender. And that's because of the society that we live in and the systems of oppression that we live in. It's not because they are obsessive, right? Like, because again, like, as a white person, you don't have to think about race. You don't have to think about it literally at all, which is why it's kind of gross to do it, honestly, because you don't have to, and most of us are not taught to. It's something that you are confronted with at some point in time and you decide to care about. Ultimately, it doesn't matter to me if you read diversely or not, because all it signifies to me is whether you are for me or not. And baby, believe you me, you can be not for me. I can personally think that you are racist as fuck. And there are plenty of people that will happily follow you, will happily take your book recommendations, will worship the ground you walk on, will laud everything that you do, will be like, oh, she has the best book recommendations. Like, they will. They will. You will find an audience. And again, I'm not saying that the entire audience is racist, but I am saying that I decided a long time ago that I did not want to be comfortable in the same space that a racist can be comfortable in. I don't want to be comfortable in the same space that someone who is violently homophobic can be comfortable in. I don't want to be comfortable in the same space that someone who is anti-Semitic or Islamophobic or bigoted in any way can feel comfortable in. I don't want to be comfortable there. I don't want to be there. If I am there, I want to know this. I want to feel something's off. Something is off. I don't like it here. And you know what? Sometimes it is just, I don't really feel too good about this conversation. And so I unfollow you. I'm like, I feel like that was a little bit of an indicator that maybe we're not really on the same page, because I can control my online space in a way that is simply impossible to do for day-to-day life, right? I control who I follow. I don't control what family I was born in. I control who I follow. I don't control who my neighbors are. I control who I follow. I don't control who my dentist is, right? Like, so much of life, some of it is choice and you have options, and so much of it you don't have any options. And no matter who your family is, no matter who your friends are, no matter where you live, you will have no choice but to have to interact with bigoted people in society. Again, like, this is not coming as a shocker to anyone who's not a straight white cis person. Like, it's not coming as a shocker to them, but you are going to have to interact with people who, you really, really don't agree with, who are the opposite of everything that you believe in. But here online on BookTube, if you can't read diversely, I don't have to follow you. If you can't handle a Black person on the cover of a book, I don't have to follow you. If you refuse to read a queer romance, I don't have to follow you. And I say this all the freaking time, but I just look for patterns. It's not that, okay, you read 5 books and none of them are diverse, you must be a terrible person. It's, okay, you read 200 books and 2 of them were diverse in some way. It's, you keep talking about how you don't want to be told what to read and you just read books that are good. You don't read for the author. You don't care what the author's identity is. It's choosing to ignore all of that bothers me, I guess. That is a signal to me that, again, like, we don't have to be bookish friends. And yeah, reading diversely is the bare minimum, but you don't have to do it. And the biggest thing I think with it is, if reading diversely is not something you want to do, we don't want you to do it. Like, do you know how many BIPOC authors get racist 1-star reviews on their books? Like, we don't want you to go and read their book and give it a poor rating. We don't want you to read somebody that you don't want to read. You don't have to read diversely. And you don't have to be for me. I don't have to be for you. But, like, you don't have to read diversely. You don't. There are plenty of people that you can be friends with who also don't want to read diversely. But then don't be surprised when the people who this matters to don't really want to hang out with you. Right? Simple as that. You can't have it both ways. You can pick a way, and that's fine. Not trying to argue you out of it, because that has to be something that you desire to do for yourself. So I'm not trying to argue out of if you don't want to read diversely, but you're not going to be for me, and you're not going to be for other people like me, and that's fine. We can go opposite directions. So yeah, do you have any diversity things that you notice about the people that you watch, that you notice about their book recommendations or any of those things, let me know. And let me know if you heard about this Booktok drama.
I think it's surprising no one that we're not even 3 weeks into 2024 and we've already had a racist book fiasco. Like, you can't go very long with that one.
About this particular thing, with it being racist and it being don't make me read diversely, is it didn't happen in February. Usually during Black History Month we get like a couple of these, but she was ahead of schedule and went in January. So that's it. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know if you heard about this. And you know, if you don't like that, you can unfollow. You can unsubscribe if you think that reading diversely is something you don't want to hear about. I'm not gonna lie, it would suck a little bit because the channel's been growing. It would suck a little bit, but at the same time, like, this is what you're gonna hear on my channel, so you were gonna hear it at some point anyways. So that's it. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.